You work for years to build up a successful business, only to have it shut down in a moment's notice, and then it stays closed for nearly 5 months. Well, tonight's Newsmaker and the people he represents know what that is like. Zack Medford here is the founder and president of the North Carolina Bar and Tavern Association, an organization that represents more than 1,000 small businesses statewide. After the governor extended phase 2 reopening last week for another 5 weeks, I spoke with Medford virtually from my home office.
Every day I get phone calls from bar and tavern owners that are completely out of the money. They're not paying rent anymore, and they don't know what they can do. I've heard from over 12 bar owners that just say they're not going to be able to reopen ever again. That number keeps growing.
And Zack Medford admits he and his business partners may soon be a part of that growing group. They own 5 bars, 4 in Raleigh, 1 in Wilmington. Zack, when was the last time you sold a drink at any one of these establishments?
We haven't sold a drink since St. Patrick's Day. On March 17th, the governor closed all hospitality businesses in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we've been closed ever since. At the beginning, we had over 80 employees across our establishments. At this point, we don't have any employees. We've encouraged all of them to go ahead and start looking for other jobs. So we just don't know when we're going to be able to get open.
Your reaction to the governor's extending phase 2 reopening for 5 more weeks?
It was extremely frustrating. By the time that he's going to revisit the phase 2 situation, we'll have been closed for over half of a year. That means no revenue coming in and no hope. At the same time, we are watching our competitors that are open right next door to us. We're watching our customers walk by our closed bars into the bar next door.
Those bars, Medford says, are in hotels or in places that serve food like restaurants, which have been allowed to reopen. He also says it's not feasible for all the bars and taverns his association represents to start serving food.
Some counties are saying you cannot change your permit whatsoever. Some counties are allowing bars to serve food and change their business model. What we need from the governor is a fair set of rules that allow a bar to change its business model and act like the restaurants that are currently open, or hotel bars, or you name it.
You and your fellow tavern owners are committed to keeping your customers and employees safe, correct?
Bar and tavern owners are not asking for any special treatment whatsoever. We're just asking for equal treatment.
You have even written that you support the governor's mask mandate, correct?
We fully believe in masks. You know, if wearing a mask gets us through this pandemic quicker, then by all means, we need to enforce the mask ban. We need to enforce the mask requirement. I think by enforcing table seating, making sure customer groups are 6 feet apart, and that they're wearing masks whenever they're moving around the building, that is one great way to enforce social distancing and allowing bars and restaurants to operate safely.
How feasible would it be for bars and taverns, again, owned by these small business owners you've been talking about, to operate at reduced capacities?
My 5 bars in North Carolina are larger than most of the restaurants in downtown Raleigh. We've got plenty of space for customers to spread out, and we're fully willing to abide by the capacity restrictions.
Medford says at this point he just wants the governor to throw his businesses and others like them some type of financial lifeline.
We need some kind of grants and rent reduction program to be put in place by the North Carolina government. There needs to be some money coming our way to help us work with our landlords to keep our businesses in place so that when all of this clears up and we can finally go back to normal, and these independently owned bars are still around to serve their customers. Where
are you in your thinking right now? Are you thinking at this point about doing something else? And if so, what could that be?
You know, as a father of 3 kids, my wife and I talk every day about what we're going to do and how we're going to survive this thing. We're living off credit cards right now. Every time we try to come up with some idea on how we can make some money, we realize that we've already invested so much in our bars and our home and everything. Tearing all that down and starting over from scratch just isn't feasible during a pandemic. We need help right now. That's the only answer.
The governor, his task force, Dr. Fauci, and others have consistently argued COVID-19's more likely to spread in bars because people drinking alcohol tend to lose their interest in social distancing. They may shout or sing in the environment and stay in that environment for long periods of time. Medford says that's just not fair when not every place that serves alcohol has to stay closed, which is why, in addition to help, he's asking for fairness. For more information on the North Carolina Bar and Tavern Association and a link to this nonprofit's GoFundMe page where it's raising money to offset its legal expenses, check out its website at ncbata.org. That's ncbata.org.